Do you suffer from a lack of a father figure? Do you have clinical depression? Have you ever accidentally broken your mom's favorite coffee cup, and when she found out you did it, she tied you to a bed and spanked you with a metal spatula? If you said yes to any of these things, I don't care. And to keep it a bean, no one cares.
Welcome back, everybody. Dark Wizard Dungeon. We're online or offline. I don't know. I'm trying to find out what cool intro I want to do, especially as I learn how to edit videos, because maybe instead of just like jumping in here, like walking in front of the screen, I can do one of those like, or like I go in 360 a bunch of times and spin in a circle. But first off, I want to thank you guys for being here, clicking on this video. I want to make sure that I'm not abandoning the gratitude that I have to share with you guys, because there's so much AI slop, Mr. Beast videos, 20v1s, pop the balloons, all this like other stuff going on that is more attention grabbing, more enticing for the dopamine desensitized mind. But you choosing to be here to receive this knowledge, especially knowing that these types of conversations can really put you in a position to feel those emotions that many of us run from, I commend you. And I really, really, really thank you for being here and taking the time out of your day, out of your life to choose yourself. Because mind you, we're not doing this for the sake of just getting views necessarily. We're not doing this for the sake of trying to be a particular individual. We're doing this to build the community of people who are taking responsibility for their circumstances and have something from that inside to share with each other in this world. Because that's the best type of community that we can create. One where we all have the power, because the power comes from within. And we choose, with that knowing, to share that with the people around us, to create something more than just ourselves. Especially, even more than that, create something that serves more than just ourselves. And even if it's not people necessarily, it could be our experience, our environment, our reality. How can we do that? How can we create the value in the life that we're living and allow us to be able to appreciate that? So hopefully, through these videos, that's what we're getting into. I never wanted to, and maybe it's hurting me, but I never wanted to be that person that was, I am a shaman this who has gone through these things and certifications and this title, and I went through this initiation, and I never wanted to be the put a title in the air and then boast, or try to prove that title. I genuinely wanted to be somebody just that you look to as a regular human being, but who's decided to dive so deep into what I'm interested in and what I care about, that you can respect what I'm sharing with you as somebody who cares about these concepts, somebody who values knowledge and information and the sharing of that for the betterment of the people that I seek to serve. And hopefully through that process, you realize that it's not about me, it's about what we're doing here together, how we can all participate from the position that we're in to best impact this reality. So, hopefully that intro is good enough for you, especially because we haven't done one of these vlogs in a minute. Oh, wait, no. I'm pretty sure I gave you guys one last week. And mind you, I wasn't even going to record today because this is the second part of the intro I had to get into, because my hair is so rat's nest right now. Not even a rat's nest. It's like a beehive right now. Actually, a beehive is probably better kept than what I got going. But honestly, like, I'm going to turn around a couple of times and you guys may like dry heave when you see like how bad my hair looks right now. So forgive me. I'm going to just be honest, because you know I'm nothing but honest and vulnerable, you my people. I trust you guys aren't going to make fun of me, make me a viral meme. But this is horrible. This is horrible. This is called suburban black. This is what I'm going to start calling it. I'm going to start giving titles to everything. This busted hairline, busted back line, no lineup, hair going way too far over, not even matching, bro. I got like a freaking mullet, like an afro mullet and we got to be honest, gang. How are we ever going to make it out of the suburb? How are we ever going to make it, bro, when we continue to live like a suburban black? But you know those like Uncle, not even Uncle Tom, I don't even want to say that. We can have a conversation on that later. But you know those like self-hating black people that just be so ready to be validated by massa, and they just don't even care, bro. They wearing the freaking Abercrombie and Fitch. They not doing none of their hairlines. They just going straight buzz cut off the rip, bro. A little loop right here. I know I'm making fun of myself here, but it's just remind me that life is supposed to be fun. Even through the failures and the achievements, it's always supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be exciting. It's supposed to be engaging. So hopefully this reminds me to make sure that I got a haircut tomorrow. And I cannot miss that again. Because if I miss that again, then we're going to continue to throw this ugliness all over YouTube, and it's going to disrupt the greatness that I have to share with you guys in these videos. But I just wanted to give that as a prerequisite to show you guys, like, I'm not purposefully neglecting myself. It's I just needed to get that haircut going. But yeah, that's it. That's hopefully that's a good enough intro for you. I'm gonna let you guys check out the board while I figure out how else I'm going to convince you guys to participate in contributing to this community. And then we're gonna run right through this. Okay, that's good enough. We'll get into this. But before we get into this, what do I want to say? Oh, if you'd like to support the channel, go ahead and check out Cosmic Nomads Rebel Souls. We got a lot of cool merch over there, and I definitely believe, I don't even think anymore. I believe, and hopefully I believe so much that it becomes a knowing. I got some shirts of the summer on there. And if you guys don't want to promote them, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be the one wearing them. And if you want me and my sexy self to be wearing them and going viral and all that, then so be it. I will be a celebrity for you guys. But if you guys want to do it, and you guys want to go viral and go crazy, then you guys should do it. And even then, I feel so bad about like the people I keep on telling, like I'm sending clothes to. I'm like, dude, give me your shirt size. I'm gonna send you a sample. Tell me why there keeps on being some new fucking bill every 2 seconds that comes out of nowhere. And it's like, oh, you need to pay for this. Oh, tire this. Oh, your car this. Oh, rent this. Oh, this. And I'm like, damn, bro, like, where am I supposed to get some money for some damn samples, bro? Like, and I know my models, if you're seeing this right now, I hope you guys are really being patient with me. I'm doing so much of this shit on my own, bro. Like, I really come from hell, bro. When I say hell, I'm not talking about like the devil. I'm talking about just demonic human beings that I was supposed to call a family. So hopefully you understand in me conquering those generational curses and traumas, I'm also still trying to make way and find those resources to connect with you guys and allow you to help support this mission that we're on together. But it doesn't come without me making sure that I can fully address these things and circumstances that I believe are holding me back from the life that I should be living and I have always deserved to live. I just never felt like I deserved to live because of the trauma that I had went through, which is a perfect intro to get us into this video. What am I calling this? Oh, shit, I wrote it down somewhere actually, but you're probably going to see it, honestly. Just check the title of the video. But this is the process of how we are going to understand a soul being born into a physical body, and then how the improper or how different types of development of that soul in the body can create the circumstance or create opportunity for narcissist and predatory people to take advantage of vulnerable people, and in that light basically create their own army of victims to not only support themselves in their life, but victims to invalidate their own needs and identity, truly autonomy, for the sake of the victim also being an enemy against themselves, which many of us, especially people who've been leaving narcissistic relationships or cults, struggle with. It's not just leaving and then everything's a-okay. It's leaving and then also trying to purge the internal of the inner critic that was impregnated into us by the narcissist. The voices in our head, the anxieties, the fears that are pressed onto us, imposed onto us as a means of stopping us from ever being able to dig into ourselves and trust that we might know what our well-being is and we might know how to serve that beyond the control of the narcissist. So again, if you want to go way in depth onto this, go check out my No-Contact Narcissist course. It is going to be free forever because I understand how important that's going to be, especially for the next coming years that we're walking into a lot of chaotic time socially. But yeah, I think it's about a good time to get into this. Hopefully we got everything out of the way so everyone can calm down and I don't have to turn around and you guys are taking pictures of me and putting it on Snapchat and sending it to your friends. Talking shit because that'd be mean and I don't like mean people.
Brother, this guy stinks!
No, I'm kidding. Just get me viral. Okay. One thing I've realized is that these videos don't always have to be like an hour long or like super long. More times than not, I just love talking or just explaining stuff. So really, I'm starting to realize at some point I'll start doing that on a live stream. But again, not to make everything about my own problems and the shit that I go through in my own life. But where I'm staying at right now, like I don't even have my own room, like my own room. So because of that, I like can't record at my place. That's why I'm always outside or I'm in the car recording stuff. Like I can't record there. And also because like I don't have any like family that's supporting me. I'm basically just like renting from other people. I also have to respect the fact that like other people have different, especially political views and like spiritual views than I do. And to protect my own well-being and ability to maintain like residency and like a place of living, damn near, I have to make sure that I'm taking myself and this information that I'm holding outside to a place that is protected and allows me to do this type of stuff. Hopefully, again, the reason why we're working so hard is to make sure that I can get my own place, my own shit, so I can do this life my own way and truly give you guys every bit of the content, every medium that we can to make sure that we're building this brand and building this community to everything it can be. But at some point, especially when I get my own place, and really even just my own room, because I don't think I've ever had my own room my whole life. Yeah, I've like never had my own room. Like I've had a bedroom, but at that point, like when I was growing up, like my bedroom was really, um, when we lived, my dad, basically, our family were just like slaves to my dad. Like my mom was the maid, and I'll get into this more into my how autistics fall into the red pill pipeline. But my dad was basically like fell so deep into the patriarchal psychosis, and it was because he's also an African dude. um, he just rested upon the fact that he could turn his wife into a maid, and then his kids would just be like slaves to support himself until he died, and then carry on this legacy that was non-existent, but also have this ridiculous expectation because they're supposed to parent themselves, or we're supposed to parent ourselves, and then also be adults, and then also be upstanding adults in spite of the adult child that we were enslaved to. How the fuck did I even get to this point? How the fuck did I even get to this point? Oh, because I was talking about like I don't just be like trying to get up on this thing and like make excuses or say like, oh, like I can't be consistent because of this and this and that. Like finally, in accepting the life that I've had to live and the pain that I've had to endure, I'm realizing that there's a handful of circumstances that I've had to go through that are just purely impossible, like to make it through. And I'm still here, but maybe it's this social media era that's not letting me like truly just appreciate surviving and just taking shit one step at a time, but wanting me to say, oh, I need to 10,000 a month and I need to have a girlfriend. I need to have this. I need to have this. I need to have this. I'm with all that being said, I'm trying to get to a point in my life where I can just stand on a foundation that is not, that I don't have to fear is going to get ripped out from under me. I feel like that's where so much of my anxiety and so much of my overthinking and overwhelm comes from. And I know I preach so much about not waiting for a destination, but putting yourself in position to win or position to like see the life that you want or the circumstances you want. But I tell you what, man, as somebody who's on the other side of going no contact with parents, and not just a narcissistic like parent, like family, but like extended family cult that is just enabling as fuck. This is tough shit. I tell you what, life is tough every day, but doing things like this continue giving me a reason to keep going. So I hope you guys know how much I appreciate you guys in spite of all the bullshit that I have to endure, because my parents wanted to be children, but then also wanted to punish my siblings and I for existing when they created us. And then now I'm living on the other side of that, not because I have to, but because I chose to actually be like an upstanding human being in society and like a fully functioning adult. And in pursuing that, I had to realize, oh my goodness, my parents were not even functioning adults. They were blaming their children for them being children, which inherently or inadvertently, I hope I'm using the right word, turned their children into parents and invalidated the childhood they needed to have to support them into becoming healthy adults that could rely on the lessons and the experiences that they've received from their childhood to be the person that they're supposed to be as an adult. I'm realizing that it's like my ADHD understands how much potential I have and how many things I want to pursue and how much I can do in this world, especially now that I'm finally free, although not like financially stable, but free from my home. Like there's so much I can do, but it still costs so much money. And then even that, like it's with that, because I don't have any support, it's going to cost me all this energy and time through working. And then even through that, I can't guarantee that I'll have any energy to do the things I want to do after doing work because I'm working so much to support myself because myself didn't get any support from my parents who didn't want to support me because it's my fault that I was born. Like these are why we have these narcissistic conversations and whatnot, because think about how little sense it makes to be a grown adult and then to just reject the responsibility that you chose to give yourself and then blame a child for it. And then expect that child to turn into a better adult than you were after you just used them to eternally be a parent for you because you refused to be an adult. Like, do you not see how fucking insane this psychosis is? And then mind you, even I can go through all these experiences and have all these amazing analyses and whatnot. And this is not even me trying to toot my own horn or nothing. But even then, I can do all of this stuff. I can do the No Land for Good Men. I can create the platform for Tribal. I can do all this stuff. But it still means nothing because we live in a society that values money and identity over actual creativity and applicability. Because too much of that pioneering, visionary applicability will change the system, which changes the powers at hand, which stops the people who are rigging the game from being able to suck up everything out of it under the disguise, or the guise, forgive me, that this is a fair game. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for trauma dumping on you guys, bro. It's just like I know the person that I'm supposed to be. Like I know the person I'm supposed to be so bad, and I sit every single day and I sit here and think, what is obstructing me from being that person, from being the healer, from being the educator, from being the entrepreneur, from being the artist? And it's like, it's not education. It's not even lacking love. It's not lacking the desire or the curiosity. It's literally just financial support. And the worst part about all that is me being smart enough to know that in a world that wants you to lie as if your important needs aren't those needs. So you're supposed to go into the world gaming everybody in this like subliminal social game to get your needs met, but not convince them like, hey, I need you in my life to help support my needs. But I don't have the means to even play the social game, one. And two, I don't even have the energy to play that social game because that's just a waste of social battery that I don't have. And then me, as I'm looked at as like, oh, you only care about money, or you only care about this thing. You don't care about like the relationship or this. It's like, no, bro. Like my whole entire life, I've been deprived of abundance and resource to support myself. Not even for my own will or because I fucked it up. Simply because these people knew that giving me access to that was my key out of the relationship, was my key out of the family, out of the cult, to stand on my own 2 feet and realize they're doing nothing but putting a bat to my freaking knees, making sure that I can never stand up on my own 2 feet. It's like, forgive me for that. It's a lot of stuff, bro. Hopefully this gives you an opportunity from wherever point in the journey that you're on, though, to give validation to the pain that you've had to endure and the struggle that you've had to endure under the hands of people who don't deserve to be inflicting pain and violence and trauma onto anybody except themselves. especially as you grow up into adulthood, bro. It's insane that people can continue to choose to act like children when we are grown adults, and we live in a world that doesn't offer everybody access to community and support beyond themselves. But the people who are obligated to be responsible for you and to care for you are the ones who just decide they can put that on the chopping block whenever they want. It's very weird. Oh, I don't think I finished what I was going to say, though, like a minute ago, speaking about how people are looking at me funny. But it's me now realizing, like, having to do so much work, thinking that it's because, oh, I'm incapable. I don't finish anything. I procrastinate all the time. I lie about the things I say I'm going to do. After me going through all of that self-hatred, which was purely just projections from the narcissist that I'd been around and the family that I was raised around, then I realized it was these few things that were stopping me from accessing the life that I wanted to live, the things I needed to do. And I'm still in that process of unlearning. Hey, you haven't messed up anything. You haven't even had the opportunity to mess up anything. Because just being given the opportunity in itself is you're 2 steps away from leaving forever. So why even come that close to freedom when we can just completely deny you of it? And then even worse than that, while we deny you of freedom, we also make you afraid of freedom, so you stay in this relationship with us, making you think that the only peace that you'll ever have is enduring our chaos. Because what are you going to do now? Endure the chaos of the entire world? This is already overwhelming enough. You already can't even stand on your own 2 feet now. How are you going to do it in the real world? That's me speaking from the perspective of the narcissist who doesn't want you to realize that the power is in yourself and your ability to take responsibility for your circumstances, not sell your autonomy for the validation of somebody else. Okay. But I know that doesn't really have to pertain too much to the video, but I had to make sure I get that out there because I don't want you guys to think that whenever I'm offering to sell like a piece of clothing, article of clothing, causing CASHAPP, go check that out, or I'm selling a course or offering consultation, I don't want you guys to sit here thinking, this is just another content creator who's trying to make a bag off his audience, who gets big and tries to make a bag off his audience. The last thing. Genuinely, I don't even like thinking about money. I don't even like money, to be honest. But I understand how important it is in this capitalist system to make sure that I can pay my bills so I can, 1, exist and not get arrested for not existing properly. And 2, make sure I can fuel the vehicles, my business, my brand, my films. I can fuel that into producing more revenue, and then I can continue to reinvest on my own hand into my brand and then also create more opportunities for those in my community. But that's all coming with remembering I am doing this whole life thing on my own. Me even deciding to step on this path, and it's weird because it's literally everything that I'm choosing is better for myself and the people who would have chosen to support me. Everything that I've chosen has completely rejected me from the entirety of my past. So I've decided that I'd rather lean on this new life that I've created for myself and I'm willing to take full responsibility for it. Even if it doesn't give me a dime, I'm willing to go and put my whole heart into it, even if I die on it, rather than putting myself in the limbo of, well, what if, well, hopefully they're going to, well, maybe if they will, I'm going to depend on them to, because I'm just trusting that they are never going to give me what I'm asking for if I can wait that fucking long, my whole entire life, to never get what I'm asking for. I'd rather wait for myself to get it, or somebody who genuinely cares about myself and who I'm becoming to help me get that, rather than people who have never even respected me with or without having the things that I've asked for in this life. I'm telling you guys right now, it's going to be very interesting to it's going to be very interesting, this is what we're walking into. Hopefully you understand that as long as we're able to continue to have these conversations, as long as we're able to continue to open up our own soul and dive into that which is ourselves, we're going to be all right. At least giving ourselves a chance. Let's get into the video. All right. So welcome to the video after 25 minutes. I apologize for that, but Hopefully you understand. We're going to have to get through all these conversations anyway, so realize we're not going to be doing like a promo that's 25 minutes like that, or an intro that's that long anyway, every video. It's just certain conversations pertain to the conversation that we're having today, so we might as well just get into all of it to show you that this is real life stuff. This isn't just me kind of studying narcissism on the internet. This is like this shit almost deleting me, putting me in a position to want to delete myself. All right, so we're going to take this first half to understand what is the body that we're speaking of, and how is everybody able to participate in this soul experience that is human life. Again, this is a personal opinion, but this is what I believe gives all of us as humans and just living beings an opportunity to participate in this understanding of life and our fundamental living experience. So then we can, again, expand into the niches of our demographics and of how we raise each other and we raise ourselves, but also collaborate with other people because we're all standing on the foundation of humanity or living, rather than standing on the foundation of we are these chosen alien Aryan blonde beings who came from planet Mars to dominate this earth full of black Nubian gods and goddesses who are just so amazing and just do everything kind of cool because they don't need to colonize a planet that they already live on and own, because they're already respected by it naturally, because they take responsibility for caring for the earth rather than trying to dominate the earth, burn fossil fuels through the atmosphere, and then act like they're not trying to reverse engineer manifesting the God that created the Genesis. We'll get into that in the podcast. We'll get into that in the podcast. But the reason why I described the birthing process like this is because fundamentally, I know I'm repeating myself, it gives everybody, no matter what demographic, no matter what country, no matter what nation, nationality you are, it gives you a chance to participate in this. And how will I describe it? The soul is infinite. You can think of the soul as like light. And the Gnostics and a lot of initiates of early occult philosophies, they call it the flame. So I'm pretty sure they call it the flame. And if not, then you can blame me 100%. This infinite light, this infinite energy needs limitation to experience this reality. Why? Because it already is everything. So to experience itself, to experience the potential of its infinity, it has to finite itself. Mind you, you guys may tie this to your like religion of like God did this, God created the earth, and or the ancestors. Like, it's, to my eyes, it's whatever makes sense to you, especially pre-colonialism. That's why knowing your history is so important. That's why being able to connect to your genealogy is so important. That's why knowing who you are beyond what the man tells you is so important. The infinite soul can only experience itself, especially in its infinity, by fractalizing itself from the infinity and engaging in a finite process. Not an unconditional or an infinite process. Infinite soul gets to experience infinite realities by living infinite, finite realities. How crazy is that? Now, instead of thinking of this whole entire experience, now we're going to get a little spiritual here. Instead of thinking of this whole entire experience as all of us being like damned slaves waiting to be saved by God, imagine if, now this is going to get a little crazy here. Imagine if all of us living beings are all living expressions of this infinity. Now let's stop right there before we start to humanize it and say, oh, it's a blonde dude with blue eyes who is German.
Bruh.
Before we start to humanize this force, let's just stop at infinity, meaning that it is more than what the human being and brain and even the living brain can perceive in finite form. This is the life force of the universe, which we all carry within us. Whether you want to call it the breath of life, whether you want to call it energy, whether you want to call it a soul or a spirit, it is in all of us living beings. Okay? So it's very interesting that certain people who do have this living form can decide which other people are living or not, or are damned or not. Seems more like social politics than it is spiritual philosophy. But again, people are stupid, so they're going to believe anything that makes them feel better than another person because they're black or they're a woman or because they're disabled or because they're homeless. Always remember that. We've already broken the identity politics. She's just trying to address this. Now, we've already addressed the infinity of the soul and how it can only experience itself in its infinity by breaking itself off and living in conditional experiences, or else it will just be. And if it just, and mind you, there's a very interesting book that I read called The Hermetica, the translation of course. I don't want to say that this is directly from the original, but I'm going to link a picture of it right here. And you guys can go read that book. There's a very interesting, I want to call it a parable, but it's a pretty interesting reading describing the process of a soul fractalizing itself from the source and coming into this human experience. Honestly, if I could just link the page or the quote of it, I'll try to do that. But if I'm lazy, I won't, and I apologize. But the book will be right here, picture of it right there. Go ahead and check that out. It's a short read, so hopefully you don't have TikTok brain. You can go check that out and dive into those occult juices. Now, the womb in this process, again, because we're living under a patriarchal psychosis, we believe that the man is the most significant part of the birthing process, which is fucking ridiculous to me. But we believe the man is the most important part of the birthing process because he has the sperm. Dude, you are just a bank. You have to sit here and think we are just banks of life in like walking form. We aren't the cultivator or the raiser of life. Not the razor scooter, the raiser, caregiver of life. If you think about it, if a plant out of nowhere just happened to produce sperm and women can take that plant and get pregnant, what is the point of men existing? Other than to protect other people from men. Like genuinely sit here and think about it. And even and don't get me started on the, well, nobody would lead these armies and lead these building or architectural design. Dude, anybody can lead anybody. You just refuse to submit to a woman because you think that it reduces or surrenders or sacrifices your masculinity. That's a you issue, brother. That's a you issue. That's got nothing to do with the world, bro. Just like an intellect knows that, or the more somebody knows, the more they know, the less they truly do know. In the same way that an intellect understands, they are not at the mercy of who is feeding them the knowledge or the wisdom. They are at the mercy of the knowledge that is being shared to them, and they have to surrender to the person who is sharing the knowledge to them as a means of accessing it best, unless they believe that they can access that information with more clarity and depth, which they probably can't, and which is probably a waste of time. Okay, I'm glad we got that out of the way. So in this 9-month process, and this is again why I say I'll speak a whole lot on just like childhood development and how important that is over the next ever. But in this 9-month process, we, especially as a very desensitized spiritual society, we assume that it's just 9 months of a kid being created in there, and then the kid just pops out, and then, oh my goodness, let's just hope it is like what we thought it was supposed to be. Which is 1, that's sad. 2, that's sad. 3, that's sad. 4, it's horribly sad. But in this process that the womb is, again, turning egg into life form, cultivating this life, that is when the soul is becoming connected or is, and again, I'm not going to act like I know what this process is because this is beyond the comprehension that we have up to the current point. But this is the time when the soul attaches itself and integrates itself into the body. And you know what's interesting? For a handful of people, and this is why I keep on saying genealogy and generational bloodlines are so important, because you could be birthing the essence of your great-grand member, now it sounds crazy. Now that I say that, great-grandfather or mother or somebody who's an ancestor in your bloodline, you can be birthing the essence of them into your children. And in being able to be there for your child and being able to understand how they express themselves, how they think, how they move and their characteristics, you're able to understand, oh, this is a child of, again, ancestor this. This is a child of this ancestor. This is a... But again, I also want to attribute a lot of the reason why we don't have access to that because of the nuclear family, the post-World War II nuclear family in America. It stops us from being able to appreciate that a true family is 3 generations of people. It's not a mother and a father who own the children that they've created because they were forced into a shack and then now they have to work for the rest of their lives to pay off a mortgage, a car note, and the kids until they're 18. A family is the grandparents, it is the parents, and it is the children, and it is everybody being able to live in some kind of vertical stacked community, or at least having access to the 3 levels of wisdom and human experience to be able to make sure that everybody is learning from and feeding off of one another to support each other through this living process that is happening. But again, we live in a world that says you are responsible for the children you own. It is not the children, the community that births children is responsible to make sure that all the people in that community are raised into adults that can contribute to society. As many as possible, of course. The reason why I had to include this part, not only because it's very important to have this type of conversation, but it's also because I want you guys to think about, now that you know the soul is not just a part of the body, it's literally like integrate. And again, I don't want any of these what do they call these people? Not all lives matter. I don't want these pro-life people to be trying to like take this and be like, oh, well, you see, the soul is in the body during the process, so that means they're alive at 6 weeks. Like, get that dumb shit out of here. Not speaking to those people. Okay? But I want us to be very, very, very cognizant as to how important it is to respect the well-being of the womb and the wombun during this process. Interesting enough, I have always been very confused as to why we allow, okay, this sounds crazy, not allow. I've been always very disappointed as to why we don't have much, much, much better maternity leave, knowing that 9 months, if not 18 months around conception and like having a child, or impregnation and conception, that has to be the most important 18 months of a child and the mother's life, because that is the foundation of the relationship that the child has in this life. The foundation. And mind you, even the emotional state of the mother during the pregnancy will be transferred, not fully, but will be transferred into the child, because that is literally the frequency of the incubator that the child is resting in while the child is being formed and born into this reality. So are we thinking about a world where women aren't allowed to have abortions, even if they're assaulted? Are we thinking about a world where women are second-class citizens, so the real trauma that they go through is not able to be validated and they're not able to heal and grow from that? But it's used, just like homelessness is used for working-class people, it's used to force them into marriages, which we'll describe as to how these predatory relationships work, forced into marriages which they are even further exploited and then used as an incubator to prolong somebody else's legacy, a man they probably don't really like. And then think about how that, and that creates the mental, emotional foundation for the child that comes out of that. Think about the well-being of the mother herself. Okay. So hopefully you guys understand how important this process is. And just this is from literally from conception. Okay, the reason why I keep on stumbling when I say that is because I don't know if conception is when the sperm hits the egg or when the child comes out of the womb. Let me make sure this is still recording on time too. Okay, perfect. All right. And from there, we are going to get to a point where this integration process is happening. This is what we've described. Hoping you can still... I fucked that up. Whatever. I don't care. So, this is the born baby. This is the process of the baby has been born, the baby has come out of the womb, has been raised by the community, assumingly, or the family at least. And we're going on the process of self-expression. And mind you, a lot of you guys may not think this is important, but it is. Because we live in a reality that is so heavily like hell-bent on external validation and social acceptance that we think that this is just the only people who have an opportunity to authentically express themselves and break out of the limitation of the mask are people who can afford to live beyond the system that we're all enslaved to, which only happens to be like wealthy people and the people that they buy to have access to, or they buy to like influence poor people. I believe that the authentic self-expression, as scary as it can be, especially for poor people that are afraid of fucking up their digital footprint, their resume, or invalidating their ability to get another wage slave position, I believe this process is the most important one that we can go on as human beings, one of the most important ones that we can go on. And the fear of going on this process is what keeps us in these cult-like communities, in these nasty negative situations where we are constantly seeking, like on a hamster wheel, constantly seeking for validation and acceptance that we're never going to receive. Constantly chasing, literally chasing our own tail. But not even chasing our own tail, chasing like a cat chasing a laser. Not even for our own desire, but for the sake of thinking that that is going to make us accepted as a human in the hands or in the eyes of the person who's holding that laser. Now, I don't like to do too much of the like dualities in the sense of like this is and this is not, to be and not to be, but to be. I'm gonna have some movies. Forgive me, I'm fixing my belt here. I'm gonna have some movies on Tubi at some point. I'm a filmmaker, gang. I'm gonna have some movies on Tubi at some point, so don't worry about that. And if I don't have movies on Tubi, I'll definitely have some on OnlyFans. So go check.
Oh my God, bro!
Oh hell no, man! What the fuck?
Oh man, I'm playing. We gotta take a breather after that. That was ridiculous. There's two ways that I believe authentic self-expression can go. Two ways as it pertains to the conversation we're having today. So don't blame me because I'm not, like, I understand divergence. One thing that can happen is that this star that you are permeates your shell. And because you are being yourself, you're able, in your youth, you're able to be curious, so you can discover yourself. You're able to seek what you're interested in, accommodate your interest, and then from that, pursue competition, pursue collaboration, pursue the building, the creation of who you are, and you have support and investment in that. We're assuming you have support and investment, or you're just delusional as fuck, so like myself, and you've decided that your soul is going to permeate your shell, whether you lose everything and everybody in your life, or you win. So hopefully you win, because it's not a pretty look when you don't have all that other shit around you. But in this process of being ourselves, we don't even just want to say it's being ourselves because that's very stagnant. It's becoming ourselves. And that allows us to see that the process is in fueling the star that is within us. It is supposed to break out of the shell that is our mask, that again was our expected identity, which many people just lay themselves inside. because they don't do anything or become anything valuable enough to like be the thing that they did or to be something more than their identity. A black man, a white woman, blue hair. So in this process of being ourselves, and mind you, we're going to have another video on this too at some point, but just like I say, authenticity is a corporate buzzword. I want you guys to remember that this world doesn't just accept you for doing this, especially if it's against the grain of social validation, because we live in a highly, highly master-veiled, control-based masters and slave system. Meaning the person that is wanted, unless you are the token role or identity, or you are the socially validated identity, you're supposed to be this, which we'll get into in a second, but let me describe right here. Being yourself forces the world to, even if they don't accept you, it forces them to see you as you are, or as you are presenting yourself to be. Even if you fail or you succeed, the world has to see you as who you are presenting yourself to be, because you keep on feeding it and you keep on being it. That only puts you in positions to find opportunities, which you'll find opposition, but it only puts you in a position to find opportunities for more people to come support you in being that, for people to appreciate you that you are that, for you to see that you inspire people that you are being that. But how the hell will any of that happen if you aren't being that, which you are, which you know yourself to be, at the mercy of what you are expected or what you're supposed to be? Because if you are performing what you're supposed to be, the only thing that you can get, and this isn't even guaranteed, but the only thing you have the potential to get is everything that comes to that identity. And you can't even expect it, because maybe that identity and the significance of it will go out the window tomorrow because of a new trend, or because everyone decides to cancel it. And then now look at you, living suppressed beneath the mask that doesn't even work anymore for what it's supposed to work. Transactional energy reciprocation, or like reception in society. because you said, you know what? Instead of putting my mask, and again, you guys might not like this person, but I'll try to find better people to use for examples. Somebody like Travis Scott. I'm sorry, guys. Even Mr. Beast. You guys may like him more. I don't like either of these guys. As it pertains to this conversation, I'm probably gonna have to blurt out that thing that I just said 5 seconds ago too. But as it pertains to this conversation, they were supposed to be these, I don't want to call them incels, maybe they got girls, but like they were supposed to be these weird looking, nerdy, not cool people that just like hung around and were just excessively obsessed with their niches to a point where it was weird. And they probably were going to sabotage their entire regular life to pursue that, which both of them did. Travis Scott did it in a much different way than Mr. Beast. But they realized that they had to sabotage the expectation of who they were supposed to be. Nerdy, loser, didn't get any girls, didn't get invited to no parties, never had fun, hated themselves, probably listened to emo music. Or just like for white kids, it's usually not like emo. It's usually just like turning into like a internet Nazi cult and then turning into like a white supremacist. But they became who they wanted to be because internally they knew that's who they were supposed to be. And then because they acted upon who they were on the inside rather than what their immediate reality showed them, I'm going to show a clip of will.i.am saying exactly what the fuck I'm talking about right now. Saying that it's not work-life balance, it's dream reality balance if you're trying to turn a vision that hasn't been materialized yet into one that you're living. We'll clip that here. But you'll never, just like I was saying maybe 5 minutes ago, you will never attract your tribe, attract the support, see the opportunities if you aren't being who you are supposed to be following the calling that only you can hear because it's coming from inside your house, answering it, and then taking the steps to become the person that you want to be. Completely void of the validation that comes with it, because you know validation comes on the back end after you've done the thing, not on the front end, because more times than not, if you get bad validation, you'll use that, or that will use you to stop you, detour you from doing the things you need to do, distract you from taking the steps you need to take, from going harder than you need to go to get the things that you want. Don't get, it's a matter of people living on deciding the validation will come after I do the thing, after I become the person. And then the people who say, you know what, it's too scary to go on that journey with such little validation and support and accommodation, and so much at risk, and so much that I'm sacrificing and I won't come back to. So I'm going to take the cheap validation and compensation that I get for existing as somebody that I'm supposed to be, while forever feeling unfulfilled on the inside, because I can never complete myself. I'm in this position where I have to go into the world, into relationships, into society, and I'm constantly performing to complete myself. Because the completion in the self comes from the validation of this perfect person, of this perfect master, of this perfect spouse, of this perfect friend, rather than me creating that acceptance and living on the other side of, what if I've already accepted myself and I'm just appreciating those who come to appreciate me, rather than, what if I hate myself, or I've abandoned myself and I put myself out in the world constantly. I've abandoned myself. It's like walking out into the world naked with a blindfold. You don't have to assume how horrible that can go. All right? But I've abandoned myself so much, I put myself out into the world and I assume the validation that other people will give me for, again, me being a naked, blindfolded person out into the world, the validation that they give me is going to be more clear and more significant than the validation I could give myself if I just took the blindfold off and looked in the fucking mirror. Maybe because facing that which is in the mirror is really scary. It's really overwhelming. Maybe I don't like myself, and running from myself allows me to avoid addressing that. Running into more toxic people allows me to see, hey, you know what? They're the problem, not me. Constantly involving myself with others stops me from having to take responsibility for my own pain and the pain that I'm inflicting on myself, because I keep running away from reality. And again, I probably could have put a better transition into this second half here, but it's very weird, because you would think that, oh, just be yourself and then people are going to love you. Like, no. You are sacrificing the mask. You're sacrificing normalcy. You're sacrificing the basic convenience that is comfortable for others, meaning that you doing this even makes everybody else who's afraid, who doesn't break out of their mask, who is afraid to go beyond, you make all of them insecure. And what are they going to do? Instead of address that, oh my goodness, let me look in the mirror and see that I'm a shell of myself, they're going to try to invalidate you so you become a shell of yourself, just like them. But you know what they don't realize? In being yourself and having to already work through the rejection, the invalidation, the being made fun of, and having to already endure all of that, you develop thicker skin than a damn rhinoceros. And you're sitting here realizing, damn, like that little petty bit of rejection that you're afraid of, the reason why you won't start your whole entire new life, you won't start that art project, you won't make that music video, you won't record that book, you won't record that film, you won't write that book, the reason why you won't do any of that, dude, I've already gone through that 1,000 times and it didn't kill me. None of those times killed me. And better yet, all of those opportunities and all of that rejection and all of that failure didn't do shit to me, but make me know that I want this even more. So what are you going to do to stop me now? Now I realize that you're only telling me these things to invalidate my self-belief because these are things that invalidated your self-belief. And you hope that you can be right. If not in your life, you can stop somebody else from chasing their dream. So either both of us can hate our lives together, or so you don't have to be faced with how insecure you are at somebody else actualizing a reality that you keep telling yourself isn't real and you can't access. This is why I call us the NTLP2s, bro, the non-traditional life path. That's why I call us the rebel souls, because at the end of the day, they may never like us, bro, for this shit. Like, you may never get love and acceptance. You may never be appreciated for being this. But one thing that I can tell you is that if you feel called to be more than what your circumstances are asking you to be, that shit will haunt you forever. And there will be no relationship you can get into to compensate that. There will be no amount of sex you can have from no amount of beautiful girls that you can have that will stop you from seeing that. There will be no amount of drugs you could take to stop you from seeing how much work you got to do. There will be no amount of distracting yourself that you can do to stop you from realizing that your current circumstances are a cage and you are a creative and you need to get out of that. Thank you. Thank you for that. But to make sure that we're getting into this next part seamlessly, we're going to just make sure that we address directly what this other part is. If we've addressed the soul is fed and expresses itself beyond the mask, and let me add right here too, think about a lot of people who've expressed themselves beyond the mask, they aren't afraid of not getting a job. They aren't afraid of, well, what if I have too many piercings? What if I have too many tattoos? This, left, right, up, down, diagonal, Heisman. People are so overthinking and so anxious as to their whole entire life revolves around wage slavery, revolves around the acceptance that they get, or maybe they're going to hell if they smoke a joint or if they have sex one time in their life. Their whole life is around the eternal existential damnation that will affect them if they're wrong. They aren't expressing themselves and living as consequences of the calling that comes from within. But you know what's interesting? They'll judge somebody who is. They'll judge somebody who gets a tattoo on their arm, who gets a tattoo on their face even, and they'll say, look at you, you degenerate, you immature, you loser. But maybe that's how they feel, and that's what they love, and that's how they express themselves, and that's how they want to represent their soul on their body. Because I made a video on this like a year and a half ago or something. Your mind is like a paintbrush, and your body is the canvas. You, your soul, is the artist and the paint. So you are literally digging into your soul, the infinity that only you have access to from your specific position and life experiences, and you're cultivating your mind tool to not only create in your reality, but to also create and decorate this temple of a body that you have. And this is why I hate when people say that, like, oh, getting tattoos and piercings is disrespecting your temple. Dude, you know, let's focus on how we can respect it rather than disrespecting it. How about we're focusing on our nutrition? What if we're focusing on our fitness? What if we're focusing on our hygiene and our healthcare? What if we're focusing on our ability to, our emotional health, connecting with other people, connecting with nature, being able to do the things that we love every day or every week? I don't know, wage slavery took us away from that shit. What if we're focusing on, and again, we'll go deeper into this, but what if we're focusing on prioritizing the well-being of our temple? And because that's our foundation, now we can get creative with how we design it. Tattoos continue to exist and have always existed in indigenous cultures. The Europeans, the colonialists, were afraid of tattoos. Well, not even afraid. They thought that it tattered the children that they wanted to have relations with. I'm sorry, I only speak facts here. So understand that and this is why a lot of my spiritual understanding comes from, whether it's indigenous tribes, from African ancestry, from a lot of like deeply, deeply held and very long-term culturally like held beliefs, are because so much of our society looks at the human being and the natural nature of the human being from shame, or like this demonic, demonized lens, just as a means to control the potential of what the human can be, because it's easier to control a slave that hates itself than it is to control somebody who is infinitely curious and loves themselves and knows that this is the only life they're going to have, so they try to do as much with it as they can. Again, I said I was going to finish this up, and then I was speaking 5 minutes about this, but now we'll get to right here. When that soul, you can never kill the soul. Just like it's funny when people on TikTok say like kill the ego. That's why I had to get off TikTok, because it's like people are so stupid. But when you suppress the soul, again, you're not only abandoning it, but you're rejecting it. And in that process, you're saying that, not like, I don't even want to look at you. I don't even want to recognize you if I crossed you on the street. If you, my soul, and everything that I love and care about, if I saw you walking down the street corner and I was walking down the street, I couldn't even recognize the smell of you, even if it's exactly like me. Which is crazy, huh? Actually, it's not crazy, because I guess it would be difficult to smell someone that smells exactly like you if you only are used to smelling you. But as it pertains to the conversation we're having here, you can't kill the soul, and because of that, it is going to continue to crave. If you don't feed its curiosity, if you don't feed its desire to expand beyond the physical limitations, because again, it's an infinite soul, mind you, in a physical body, of course it is curious to be more than its limitations. Of course, that's just natural. The fuck? Rose growing out of concrete. Perfect analogy. The curiosity turns into craving. Craving, almost like Rapunzel trying to claw her way, or not even claw her way, trying to get out of the tower, out of the castle. It craves freedom. It craves existence outside of the kingdom, outside of the castle dwellings. And the problem with that, again, because it's now the soul and the mind of the person are working independent of each other. The mind is trying to suppress the soul, and the soul is trying to fight against the self to expand beyond this, or to feel something, to remember, hey, you suppress me all day, but I want to feel something. I want to be remembered. I want you to remember that I'm still here and I'm still alive. As long as you're still aware, I'm still alive. You can only suppress me so much before you have to completely surrender me. Okay? And that craving of validation and truly experience, the craving of a world outside, puts us in a position to say, you know what? That world is just too scary, too overwhelming to engage in, to be a part of. So because of that, we are going to seek a savior who is confident enough, who's strong enough, who's powerful enough to conquer that overwhelming reality called the outside. And we will depend on them and pray that living under their wing or servicing them completely is going to be the thing that protects us from needing to actualize ourselves and live on the other side of all the consequences that come with actualization. But the problem with that is that when you seek a savior for yourself, you are seeking somebody else to go beyond their own desire to save themselves and be self-sufficient to support you. Remember that. Meaning that you're probably at the mercy of how they want to save you. What's the problem with that? You are completely under their control, because if you bite the hand that feeds you, they decide when they stop feeding you. If you are the hand that feeds you, then all you have to do is reconfigure your diet. But if you are being fed by another hand, you can't bite the hand that feeds you, even if that hand hits you, because you're at the mercy of starving without it. This is why I speak so much about self-love. I speak so much about being able to cultivate that inner world, that inner reality, and forcing the people that you're in relationship with to not only appreciate you and tell you all these sweet nothings and happy things that you want to hear, but to appreciate the world that you're cultivating and realizing they have to be able to submit to caring for that just as much as they want to care for you to have access to you. Because that's how we really get to see if somebody is there for you and all that comes with you, or if they're just there to use you for what they want you for to serve themselves. Seek a savior, attract an abuser. Not all the time, but more times than not, seek a savior, attract an abuser. That's why patriarchy and capitalism work so deeply hand in hand, because the relationship model of patriarchy is ownership. It's person ownership, more so ownership of women, and then the traditional capitalism is ownership of men, but patriarchy is ownership of women. Holy shit, patriarchy is ownership of women, capitalism is ownership of men, and Christianity and organized religion is ownership of the soul, and then the military-industrial complex that is tied right in line with that same religious industrial complex is ownership of the world. Somebody give me a PhD. Somebody give me a PhD fucking D. Now, it almost feels like a peanut butter seed safe perfect top. Rich, but I'm still taking one top. I can't ever say me diamonds, so let it don't me diamonds. Shawty done fell in love without my diamonds. Security, diligence, boner. It's like if I had a live show and I was on stage, I'm telling you, bro, I'd have to hit a young boy on him. All right, let's get into this. Let's get into that. So, I'm not going to say that a narcissist has no soul, but for our current understanding of it, and just to make sure that we're continuing to humanize the narcissist, because again, I did say that every living being has this connection, a fractalized connection to this infinity. That's how we're all able to support this reality. We are all literally registering not only our attention, but registering our energy to this reality. In the same way that we register our attention to the digital universe that is the internet. This world we're living in is just a 64th generation version of the best thing that we could ever create as human beings. Because we are literally a part of the creation of this reality. Meaning that there are tools that were leveraged to create this reality that we don't have access to. Meaning that we cannot create anything even near the ingenuity and the depth and pioneering, like visionary nature of the architects of this universe. I don't even want to call it just one person. I believe there are cosmic architects that create worlds, and this is one of them. That might sound crazy to you guys, I apologize, but I believe this is one of them. And that whole story of like humans being abandoned by like Father God who loves them so much but like refuses to show up when black people are dying, I think that's made up philosophy. But I will explain that. Go check out my AI Genesis Human Singularity podcast, which will come out within the next 2 or 3 weeks. I'm feeling very enthused. I'm feeling very excited to get that episode going. So if you want to check that out, go crazy. Other than that, what was I talking about? Okay, I wanted to say that narcissists, we're not just going to say that they have no soul, but I did say that because maybe it goes as clickbait. That's clickbait right there. But the reason why I say this is because the narc soul, or the identity of somebody that we will choose to identify as a narcissist, it's so battered, almost battered beyond healing. But not battered beyond healing as if it cannot be healed, because it is so deep in its own delusion, it is the only person that can choose to heal. And more times than not, again, I'm not saying anybody to go take any of these substances or whatnot. More times than not, the only substance and the only type of ritual that can heal this type of deeply energetic parasite and like disease are like a psychedelic ritual held by not a shaman like myself. I'm still like a young initiate, wise person. I'm saying like from an indigenous elder, from a bruja, from a voodoo witch doctor. You might say that's crazy, but I'm telling you right now, the plant medicines that we have, the different mediums of spiritual medication that have been bastardized by for-profit medication and big pharma, you don't understand how important, not just the type of medication, but how they're utilized and the intention behind them they are as a means of conquering these types of demons and energetic disparities in our lives. But a conversation more on spiritual medication in another episode, because this is the one that we really want to get to today. Because this is how the narcissist is able to kind of go through and run havoc in this world that we live in. The narcissist is so deeply broken. They're probably like almost a severance level of abandoning of the self. And because they're severed from the self, that creates a void on the inside. And the void is so deep on the inside, they don't even know who they are, because they are simply an effect or a consequence of the relationships that they're able to have, and then rewire to give them an identity. More times than not, the identity that they want to have, or validate the mask they want to be seen as, at the mercy of addressing their either not knowing what's in there or their refusal to address what is inside this soul, which is punishing or has the potential to punish all victims. The reason why I did these arrows shooting on the outside of the mask and the question mark on the inside, not only because, again, the narc doesn't know what they are on the inside, but it's because those are the latches that are used. And again, you guys may understand this better in a process when we're explaining not STDs. Sex is an energetic exchange, and the soul ties that can come on the other end of engaging with sex. That's why it's so important to be intentional and to be very, very aware as to who you're engaging in such a vulnerable experience with. Now, that's very important, because when we're speaking about a situation like a narcissist, it doesn't only have to apply to a sexual relationship, but just a relationship in general. The narcissist has nothing to provide. So they are not even living necessarily off the mask, because they have to validate their mask, which they basically are, with the relationships and the experiences in their lives, and probably like their identity, whether it's their certifications, their titles, their position, their profession. They have to create this reality around themselves, like a cloud that's not a black cloud, but a white cloud, to cover up the true darkness that hides behind it, enough to grab you in and get you to believe in the delusion. Again, the reason why a lot of narcissists love bomb is so they can dominate your ability to receive perception of them, or your ability to perceive them, period. So they present to you the version of themselves that they want you to accept, you accept it, and then they start to become the person that they really are. Once you've already accepted who you think they are, because then you're in this constant hamster wheel chasing the hope of who they are, not knowing that you're really just preparing yourself to endure a bunch of abuse to train you to be in relationship with this person. That's why the setup is so like intense with a narcissist. But with a healthy person, you go on regular dates, or you're not even regular, you go on dates and you get to know each other, and you don't always have this expectation of needing to perform something or needing to do for them, because you're afraid of losing them, because they've got you in this back and forth thinking that you're chasing them, they're chasing you, this and that. Oh, they don't love you. Healthy people not only have healthy relationships, but they can communicate They're willing to be vulnerable. They have jobs that they have to attend to. They have other relationships in their lives that force them to also be respectful, but allow them to learn what it's like to be a human being outside of intimate expectation. And they probably have their own hobbies and their own self-concept outside of needing to be somebody who's always in a relationship. So please feel free to question people whose entire livelihood comes out of being in relationship, especially when that's at the mercy of them being able to keep a job consistently, them being able to develop relationships and connections healthily. I understand it's difficult in the world we live in, but if that's the bane of their existence, remember, there are a lot of people, especially narcissistic men. I have a shirt on my page, which go check it out, go buy it, please. Call them Homosexual Conversion Therapy. 1-800-GET-A-JOB. But the reason why I say it's hobo-sexual is because a lot of people, these guys specifically, they don't get a job because their job is lying to women to sleep on their couch so they don't have to pay rent. like it's lying to people to be in relationships with them to get what they want. And at that point, a great narcissist doesn't even just stop at getting sex. A great narcissist gets money, gets housing, gets healthcare, gets accommodation, gets travel fees. This is why we have these conversations, because it's not just, oh, they do one thing and then they do something abusive, or they just did something abusive, now it's time to get up and leave. This is a premeditated, long-term process. So much so to the point where you can genuinely believe that they care about you. And they're doing this, and everything they do, you have to really sit here and think. They're doing everything because they are trying to get themselves to see that you believe in them. And that, once they believe that you believe, that's when they start acting. Because that's when their time is to bite. And that's what we describe right here. Cover you up, the vulnerable soul that you are, seeking salvation from your inability to complete yourself. Enter their delusion. The love bombing comes and gets you. Because, anybody can love bomb for 3 months, but can you love bomb for 3 years? Can you love bomb for 30 years? See, that's a keeper if you could love bomb for 30 years, but that's more of a golden retriever boyfriend or golden retriever partner than that is a narcissist. A narcissist cannot keep the mask up. This is why they do so much, so fast, all at once, because they want to overwhelm you with this goodness to invalidate anybody else who's literally doing anything else, especially people who are doing good things for you, because they don't want you to see, hey, this other person who doesn't have the means of love bombing me is actually showing me that they can invest in their whole entire life at the mercy of being able to prove to somebody that they're not, to get things that they don't deserve. But again, because a lot of these narcissists love preying on vulnerable people, preying on children, preying on traumatized people, they take advantage of the fact that you are probably not educated enough to understand these types of circumstances. And then they teach you, they raise you. This is why I hate when grown men say that. I want to raise my girl. I want to raise my... What do you want, a child? A grown man wants a child? That's all I hear, bro. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bro. That's all I hear. In this process of you being love bombed, you are not only shunning away... And this is what, a lot, especially for the young women in my community, I really, really, really want you to listen to this shit. Because there's guys that are going to convince you, especially 25, 30, 35, I'm disgusting if it's more than that, but it probably is. Guys convincing you, hey, these dudes your age can't love you like I can. One, why is a grown man telling a child that? I don't care if you're 18, 19, or 21. You're a child. Why is a grown man telling a child that they can love you more than somebody your age can? Maybe the reason why they can is because they have more money to buy your control and to buy your autonomy, to buy your obligation. Maybe the person your age would force you to address the circumstances that are limiting your peers. Maybe dating the people your age will show you, hey, maybe it's nice to not go on these ridiculously lavish and expensive dates because they don't come with this ridiculous expectation of a ridiculously grown man to a child. Maybe we as young people in dating each other and loving each other, maybe we can grow into understanding ourselves and our world at a better, much more relatable pace than a child dating a grown man. Okay? And again, a lot of people have been having this conversation in the sense that they're like, oh, well, young dudes can't date because they're all competing against grown men. But nobody wants to have the conversation as to like, why are grown men trying to date young girls? Oh, it's because more times than not, and especially because patriarchy sets them up for this, vulnerable, seeking salvation, the desperation to seek salvation outside of yourself puts you in the perfect position, just like I said, walking outside of your house with a blindfold and no clothes on. You are at the mercy of anybody who wants to take advantage of the situation. And now you're at a consequence of what they do in that pursuit. Mind you, I don't want you to sit here and think that without me saying this is like you can, especially as a victim of certain circumstances, you can avoid any, if not all of your circumstances. There's many things in this life we can't control and we just happen to be involved in and happen to be at the consequence of. I don't want you to blame yourself for that at all, ever blaming yourself for that. I want you to love and care for yourself through everything that you've had to endure, but to realize our society wants you to be in this position to continue to reject yourself, to continue to hate yourself, invalidate your trauma, to seek that external validation so you keep becoming basically a product to be used by narcissists who are willing to ambitiously go and just colonize all these vulnerable souls. Rather than somebody who wakes up from this delusion to become who you want to be and then live a life on the other side of not just being yourself, but accommodating that and others appreciating you for being that. Rather than you being held to an expectation that you will never fulfill, setting you up for eternal disappointment and also setting you up for just existential shame because you're never able to accept yourself since you're never able to succeed in these games that are being played around you. Let me make sure this is still recording. That's my favorite line. Now, even if you do leave the narcissist, and this is what I have described in my own analysis of psychology, because I believe that Western psychology is super like bastardized and fucked up because of white supremacy. If you want to argue with me, look at No Land for Good Men. Check out my tribal proposal. Check out No-Contact Narcissist. I'm about to drop a whole extendo clip on No-Contact Narcissist within the next 3 weeks. So you go ahead and argue with me, but I guarantee you all them Netflix shows you be watching on the weekends is not going to compete with the research that I've done over the past 18 months. Promise you. That's me being arrogant for real. Now, the reason why earlier in this video, probably an hour ago at this point, the reason why I said that the narcissist is even setting you up to where you are even going to be controlled after you leave is because why would the narcissist control you just to lose you? Meaning that they have to set up the whole entire facade and the whole mask for a new person. I know many of them are they don't give a fuck. They'll just do this, sell dreams to whoever, whenever. But why would the narcissist just cling to exploit and then throw away when they can cling and then leave a parasite in there? Tamper with the inner critic of their victim. So even when the victim runs away from the relationship, runs away from the house, runs away from the toxicity, even in their own brain, the victim will invalidate themselves. The victim will say, this is too overwhelming. I need to go back. Who do you think you are? You need to go back. This is your only mom. This is your only dad. This is your only partner. This is the parent of your this is the co-parent of your child. You have to go back. You have to be in this relationship. You have to care for them. You have to serve them. And then in that process, especially if you're strong enough to endure that and to go through that purging process, you realize how deeply enmeshed and ingrained the narcissist made you with them and fearful of your survival if you left them, because they wanted to replace the livelihood that you were cultivating within yourself with the fear they had of invalidation, the fear they had of being left behind. And left behind truly to what? The narcissist's ultimate fear. The accountability of facing oneself and taking responsibility for the circumstances that come on the other end of addressing that. So we, whether it's the cult, whether it's the narcissist themselves, we have to convince you, I'm not saying I am, I'm just saying from that perspective, we have to convince you that leaving this relationship, this situation, is not just worse than anything else that could happen. It's worse than death. And the only life that you'll ever feel is by being validated or accepted by this group. Because that perpetuates the livelihood of this community, not by it being valuable or significant, but by your continued inability to accept and validate your own damn self. Because the second you do that, you're going to realize that all these circumstances that were put around you, all the limitations that you were told about, all the lies that you were told about yourself, it wasn't to help you. It was not to support you. It was not looking out for your best interest. It was a means of stopping you from being anything other than what you could be utilized as to be exploited for the sake of the narcissist. Because there is nothing here. There's a soul. We have to understand that the soul can express itself in a million different ways. It's more than just good and bad, angel and devil on the shoulder. Infinite expressions in infinitely many finite conditional human bodies. But it's time we start to allow ourselves to be more at the mercy of the energy, of the emotion, of the feeling, and understanding that and creating some kind of clarity in that process and the chaos that is understanding that, at least regulating that, than it is to keep on thinking that we are just these damned souls bound to this this damned reality and these like horrible human shells, and we're just waiting for somebody to save us from how overwhelming this whole living experience is, because we don't know how to be there for each other. We don't know how to reject fear and to accept love. We don't know how to be there for each other instead of only being there for ourselves and competing against each other. We don't know how to care for one another, how to care for this earth. We only know how to just colonize and corrupt and exploit and destroy, and then do it all over again. Hopefully these videos show you that it is that deep. And I'm starting to realize that's even why I call myself Dark Wizard Disani. It's all these conversations I have, like the people, and not even against the people that I used to hang around, but it's just like, this is who I am, bro. Like I was holding these conversations back and these discussions back and my own intelligence back for the sake of protecting myself in the severe insecurity that the narcissists around me have. Whether it's because they don't like that I'm smart and they have to make me feel like I'm dumb, or being smart makes them feel like they're dumb and they are now going to make that a character flaw that I have. Know-it-all, mansplaining, this and that. Mind you, that the hatred has come from every demographic of person, but I understand that my people need me to be this person and need me to continue to say these things and have these conversations, and I'm here for that. Even if it's just one person in that audience, I don't give a fuck. But I'm hoping the rest of you guys can come around when you want to. And hopefully that's sooner rather than later, because we don't live in a world that's got a lot of time for that bullshit. One final time, check out the board. Hopefully you appreciate that, because I definitely do appreciate you for kicking it for this long with us and being able to enjoy this conversation that we're having together. It means a lot to me. You know, really, it means the world to me that you guys are kicking it with me. It means the world that you guys have decided that these conversations we're having are so important. And I couldn't be more thankful. I couldn't be more blessed. These are my people. You're my people. Like, we are the Cosmic Nomads Rebel Souls. We are the non-traditional life path people. We are the radicals, the revolutionaries, we are the real ones. We are just whatever it takes, bro. We are the crazy ones that change the world. Because fuck all them people that are waiting to watch it happen, bro. We do this for real. Oh, goodness. Thank you guys for allowing me to be this person and allowing me to make these videos and to just see like a morsel of success doing this shit, because I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, bro. I'm telling you right now. I might have to make one of those Mr. Beast videos that's like 5 years. Hi, me in 5 years. And if I'm not living out of a dumpster, I hope I'm living in a penthouse. That's all I'm going to say. If you fuck with this video, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Or check out Cosmic Nomad. You know that's jumping. If you think I'm cute and you want to have sex, Instagram. If not, love you anyway. Rock on. I'll catch you later.